Hello and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Moprhe. I come from Norway and I love makeup, and today I'm doing a video on Shadow Souls. It's a palette from Micka Beauty Shop, which they released, I don't really know how long ago, but it's at least a few months old. But it's like the perfect gothic palette. It's super grungy and deep, as you can also see from the look I'm wearing right here. But it has some amazing sparkly and shifty shimmers, and it ranges from light to deep, so you can make a ton of different looks with it. So if you're interested in seeing two looks and some swatches with this palette, then keep watching. First, I want to show you just a close-up of the design and also the inside of the palette. So you can see that it has a very fitting font in the front and just like this frame with a heart inside and a bunch of flowers. I think it's a very cool design. And of course on the inside it is just perfect. It has something blue, a couple of reds, it has something more mauve or pink, and then also some gray and black and a white, so you can do a lot of like gothic kind of looks with this palette. And I love the tones in here. I'm a little bit skeptical to the blue, but I think it fits perfectly to the color story, and also I think it could be really beautiful to make like a purple look if you blend it with pink. So I definitely think there are a bunch of beautiful colors in here that you can play with. But now let me show you the swatches of the palette. Here is the color story swatched out. You can see that all the four shimmers are just extremely sparkly and also quite shifty. So starting with the first one here, we have the shade Eclipse, which you can see a lot of the green in it, but it's more of a beige kind of iridescent base to it, and a pink to green shift, and then it has just a ton of sparkles in different colors. The second one here is very interesting. It has a kind of orangey red to pink to gold and green shift, and then it has a smoky base. And then the last two here are a little bit similar in that they don't have any very apparent shifts, but they do have a lot of different colors. I will say that the Gate, which is the deepest one here, is more of a blue and gold, but then again the blue and gold sometimes looks a little bit green. And the last one is basically a purple, but it does have sparkles that are blue and green and pink and gold, so it has a lot of different colors as well. As for the mattes, I find that the light gray here, which you could see, or which you can see when you see my tutorial, is that it has a slight sheen to it. But I don't feel like any of the others have that, and I feel like the most pigmented ones are these. It's the reds, it's the blue and the black, and then the others are a little bit more on the buildable side, but still really nice. So I think that this is a very interesting color story and not something I would reach for a ton, but there are definitely shimmers in here that I really love. And I find that the shimmers are quite unique, especially the one that is called Eclipse right here. It's just so beautiful and very wearable. So those are the swatches. Now for the first look with Shadow Souls, I want to do something just black and smoky and grungy. So I'm gonna focus on the Gate and use, of course, this black. And I was thinking I'd use the gray, but I might end up using some of the warmer tones if I feel like it looks a bit too ashy. But I was thinking I would do a halo eye, so I will use this beautiful, like one of my favorite shimmers ever, for the middle of the eye. This one is just so intense and sparkly. Anyway, I'm starting out with the black called the Evil Mirror, and I'm going to layer this all over the lid. I will try to not add too much towards the middle, but I don't mind having a little bit of it there because I feel like the sparkly shadow is just going to do a lot of the work itself with making it a halo eye. You can see it's not like immediately super black, but it seems like this shadow is very nice and easy to blend out. And the brush I'm using is, as I've used a lot lately in my videos, the Glaminatrix EO2 brush. It's just a really nice blending brush. So I'm going to use whatever I have left on my brush on the middle here And then I think I might just go over with the white just to highlight a little bit in the middle there. But first I'm going to use the gray matte shade. So this is the shade Dark Soul. You can see I'm layering it over top of where I blended the black, just because I feel like that gives the best blending. And I don't think I mentioned it, but I used my Airplay cream eyeshadow base from Moprhe as the base or primer for this look. I feel like maybe I should use one of the purples to kind of get a little bit of color into this look, but I don't know, it would probably also be cool to just go like this. I wish that the light gray hair was a little bit more pigmented, because I feel like you can still see like the blue from my skin. But I will try to use a little bit of the white shade here as well. It's called Idun. I'm just gonna try a little bit of that here and see if I can like brighten it up a little bit and see if it will cover up the blue. But it's also like I'm going for a super grungy look, so I don't really mind if it looks a bit, you know, messy. And I think that's typical for grungy makeup, that you're not that particular when it comes to the blending and stuff. So now you can see I'm just highlighting in the middle here, just to have a little bit of a lighter color in the middle. And I will definitely go back in with the black just to deepen it up, because the shade The Gate is really dark. So I will have to say that I think that the gray shade layered really nicely, and I love how it's looking now. And I'm going to use a little bit of glitter glue just to make sure that these shadows stick, because Micka doesn't put in a lot of binders, which I personally love because it doesn't lead to a ton of fallout when they're a bit drier. Anyway, I'm taking the shade Eclipse just in the middle here. Oh, wow, just look at it. It's like the rainbow, but iridescent kind of. And I think I picked up a little too much. But I'm going to take a flat brush for the deepest shade, which is called The Gate, and it's also sold as a single shadow, which I also think Eclipse is. So you don't have to get the whole palette if you want these special shades. Ooh, wow. And I feel like Eclipse has a slightly more warmer kind of, I mean, it's kind of both, to be honest. It has blue and I feel like gold sparkles, but also a little bit of purple if I'm not mistaken. Ooh, it is just so pretty. Micka Beauty Shop does amazing shimmers. I love how she's just been making a ton of single shadows that are so special and unique, because she blends them herself and doesn't like just use a pigment and sells it. But I just really love their single shadows, and they're just ultra sparkly. So beautiful. So this is how it's looking this far, and now that I'm looking straight forward, this is looking very much to the side, so I'm going to place a little bit more towards the middle here. I just want it to look kind of messy, to be honest. Wow, that's a lot of purple and pink sparkles, but I still love it. It's so pretty. So I just applied a red or burgundy eyeliner to the lower waterline, and I'm not sure how I feel about it, but I can try to remove it if I feel like it's not fitting the look. But I'm going to apply the black shadow here, tying it together to the lid, and then I think I will actually use the red shadow to blend it out, or maybe even the lighter mauvey kind of shade. I mean, it's pretty dark as well, I can see. So I'm just taking a little bit of the deepest red called Wounded Heart, and I'll just see how I feel about it. I was just imagining using like a deep red lipstick, and for that I would like to have something that matches a little bit in my eye look. So I'll just see how it looks. I could just remove this if I don't like it. I mean, it's looking quite cool. I was thinking just for the outer corner where it kind of meets the top here that I could use the deep purple just to kind of go from the red to a way more muted color. I don't know, how are we feeling about this? It's very heavy on the lower lash line, but together with mascara and everything, I think it's gonna come together. I was thinking maybe I would just try to tone it down a tiny bit with the gray matte, but at the same time I'm going to apply concealer, and then I'm probably going to be able to cover up a little bit of that, but just to like mute it down a little bit. And also adding the gray, I will kind of see how it looks once I have the concealer, because that is going to mute it down. How are we feeling? I think this is really cool actually. I think I'm just gonna go for this also on the other eye. I think for the inner corner it will be a little bit too much with sparkles, so I will go in with the white shade Idun instead and just layer that a bit in the inner corner to make it pop. And I'll finish the rest of my makeup and find out what kind of lip I'm gonna use, but I was thinking either something deep purple or red. We will see. Here's the first look a little bit further away so you can see how I paired it with the rest of my makeup. And I did use a very dark lipstick with this, and it's Cloud Lab Lip Clay from Kaleidos makeup that I received in PR. It's a quite warm shade actually, but I did pair it with a kind of cooler toned lip liner from Colourpop called On Ice, so it just made it a little bit cooler and more fitting to the tone of the red that I have under here. So if you want to go all in goth, then this is like a perfect lip combo that works with this eyeshadow. And the eyeshadow itself, I really do like it. It's like the shimmers are just incredible. I felt like the mattes, you need to build them up a little bit, but then they blend beautifully and they do turn out quite pigmented. And I'm still hung up on the sparkles here because they're so beautiful. So I definitely recommend Micka Beauty Shop eyeshadows if you like sparkles and shifts, and also just like different kind of colored sparkles in your eyeshadows. But now let me do the other look. So for the second look, I actually just removed the previous look and I'm going to do another one. And I really wanted to try this one. Wow, it's looking red in the camera now, but to me it's like a green and gold and orange and red. So I wanted to use this one. So I was thinking I'd use a little bit of the black just to deepen up, but then I was thinking I would use like the red, and maybe I'll just mix it a bit with this one to make it a bit more muted, but that's what I am thinking. And maybe I will use a little bit of Eclipse towards the inner corner of the eyelid, but that's mainly what I'm going for. So I'm gonna start out with the dark black shade. So I am applying the black just in the outer corner. I'm going to do something a little bit more wearable because I'm actually going to the hospital to visit my grandfather in about an hour. So I need something a little bit quicker, and also just something that's a little bit more I mean, I don't think they care about what you wear on the hospital. I just think that for me, I feel more comfortable not wearing something so dark and out there. So yeah, that's the reason why I decided to just do another look today. But I really do love this palette, and I love the look that I had on. I thought it was so nice and sparkly, but I'm really excited to use that other multichrome because, as I said, it looks orange and a little bit green to me, but then in other angles it looks like it's a red, so I think that's very interesting. So mainly I'm just using this black where I want that multichrome to be, because it's a little bit of a darker multichrome, and then I always like to have a darker base. But this is not going to be a very dark look, I think. I mean, I don't mind if it does turn out a little bit darker, but I definitely want it to be a little bit lighter. So I think this is looking nice because you just have the smokiness in the crease and you don't really see too much of it when I'm looking straight forward. So I think before I go in with the red, I'm just going to use that same brush, which is the EO2 from Glaminatrix. And I'm just going to like blend out the dark black, and then I'm just going to use the red for like a hint of color because I think it just fits so well the multichrome that I'm going to use, because it does have that red kind of shift to it. But I do want to have something quite light towards the inner corner here, so I probably will end up using the shade Eclipse again, but that one is a little bit more on the cooler spectrum with like all the, I felt like it had a lot of blue and like pink to it, and I was kind of leaning towards something a bit warmer, but we'll just see how it looks with the other shade. So I'm basically just smoking this out, but you can see that it's a different kind of smoky than I did earlier in one way, because it's not as intense and it's just way lighter towards the inner corner here. So I'm now taking the same red that I used in my previous look. I just dabbed very lightly into it, and this is the EO3 brush from Glaminatrix, and I'm going to start layering it, or not really layering it either. I'm just going to gently place it here to get some warmth to the look, and that is basically all I'm going to use it for, to just get some warmth. So I don't want it to look necessarily red, I just want the warmth to kind of come back to this look, and I feel like it's blending really nicely. And although you might not see it too much on the video, although I do think you can see it, it does just give that slightly red tone to the look, which I love. So I'm just going to place it also here in the bottom. I will have to say that I am noticing when I'm like blending a lot with these shadows, I do get a slight shine or sheen to my eyelid. I noticed it a little bit previously as well, but I don't know, I just thought maybe it was me, but I do see it again now. But I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing, it's just something I noticed. I am now ready for the shimmer because I just applied my Glam glue, and this is the shade Last Rose. Oh, it is so beautiful. I'm just going to take a little bit of the shade Eclipse here. Maybe if I try to blend them a bit together, I will get it to be a little bit warmer. I'm really liking how this is looking. I did apply the gray on the lower lash line, but I feel like I need a little bit more depth right here, so I'll probably just add a little bit of the black, and I think I'll actually use this Eclipse for the inner corner today, but I'm just going to finish off the look and show you how it turns out once everything is done. And here you can see the second look a little bit further away. All the rest of my makeup is still the same, obviously, because I just removed the eyeshadow and then did this look. I will say it turned out quite smoky as well, but in a kind of more glam rather than goth way, whereas the other one was like a glam goth look because it was very smoky. But I really like this look. I love the touch of the warm red, orangey green multichrome here with the cooler toned mattes. So I think this is a very fun palette to play with if you want to challenge yourself a little bit, or just do something a little bit more goth than you would usually do, because for me, I like grungy makeup, but I don't usually do very gothic makeup. But I do really like how this is turning out, both of the looks really. So those were the two looks that I created with the Shadow Souls palette, and please let me know which one is your favorite. What do you think of the color story? I would love to know. I think Makeup Beauty Shop's shadows are really good, and I definitely recommend them if you like indie makeup, and they're also based in France, so it's much easier to get a hold of for us who live in Europe. So that's another positive note about the brand. But I think that's the end of this video. I do hope that you liked it, and hopefully I will see you in my next video. Bye!